Hello everybody, welcome back. So in this particular video, we're going to be moving into resumes. So it may seem a little bit out of order to do emails and then a resume because of course you'd have a job before you needed to send an email. But I would say that many of the skills that we've been talking about in emails transfer over. So you might also need to say send an email in order to get more information about a job or something like that. So always good to have that skill set as well. So before we get into really the heart of writing a resume, what we want to start with is how to read a job posting. And it may seem like obvious, you just read the job post and then you apply for it. There's some really good information in most job posts that I think people don't necessarily pay enough attention to. And I think that this is similar to the task of reading an assignment. So when you have an assignment for this class or for another class, right, you want to read the full assignment, make sure that you understand what it is, and then begin working. So applying to a job is similar, right? And if we're just sort of falling into that trap of applying for any and every job possible, we're kind of wasting our time a little bit. It might even be an exercise in futility. So what I did was I just looked on one of the job posting boards. I don't remember if it was Indeed or Glassdoor or whatnot. And I found this posting for a job as if I were looking for a job. So I looked for instructor in English or instructor in writing, and I found this one here. And I've blacked out the employer, just seemed like the right thing to do since I'm using it as a hypothetical situation. Now, there's the full job description here, and what would probably attract me to this job is the title, right? It's something that I've done before. It's something I want to do. And I see here at the top, it's a part-time job. So if I think, hey, this is pretty good, then I'm going to read the post. And I won't read the whole thing right now, but I want to highlight two things. So these ones here, where the red arrows are the important part to me as I begin to think about writing a resume for this particular job. So it says a unique part-time teaching opportunity working with elementary, middle, or high school age students in a one-on-one or one-to-one setting. So right away, I know a little bit about what the job is going to be. I'm going to be working with a certain age group, and we're going to be working one-on-one, so rather than as a class. And then down where the second arrow is, it says all lesson plans have been prepared and individualized for our students, which means there is no grading outside the classroom and very little prepping and planning required. To me, that sounds like a pretty good thing. It means there's less work. I don't have to do anything outside of that one-on-one sort of tutoring environment. So if all of that sounds good to me and it fits, right, then I might go ahead and continue on. And I always want to do this in a sort of a top to bottom as far as the information is presented. So as I scrolled down, I found this section of the job posting, which was the requirements. The requirements are the things they expect people to have to apply. In other words, they are the required skills or expertise or experience that someone has, and that just to start the job. So I can look down the list here. A bachelor's degree. Okay, I have that in the subject area of expertise. Proficiency in technology, resources, and curricula. I have that. I feel pretty confident with that. Exceptional written, verbal, and nonverbal communication skills. Okay. A collaborative and exploratory approach to learning. Now, this is already telling me something that I can kind of highlight or note or dog ear, whatever word you want to use, for my resume. The collaborative and exploratory approach to learning. And then the next one is a passion for your specific subject area of expertise and a desire to share with students. So based on that, I'm beginning to pick up what we call keywords, and kind of keep that in mind because keywords is going to come back up here in a little bit especially in future videos as we start talking about building a resume. Now, once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. So even if I feel pretty good about all those, I want to look and see what the preferred qualifications are. So preferred means you don't have to have them. They're not requirements, but they would really like an applicant to have these things. So the first one is this Orton Gillingham trained, and I don't have that. I don't know what that is, but I would probably Google that if this was a job I was interested in and see how does one get that training? Is it training that is similar to something I've done in the past so that I could say either in my resume or cover letter or in an interview, I don't have that, but I do have something similar. And then they have a teacher certification. Okay, I've got that. An advanced degree in a specific subject area. I have that. Experience using G Suite and Chromebooks. Well, I'm pretty familiar with Google, but I've never used a Chromebook. So, probably not an end of the world thing, but something I just probably wouldn't bother mentioning in my resume. And then previous one-to-one teaching experience. So I have that. So far, I feel like, okay, I'm a pretty good candidate for this. I have all of their requirements and I have a lot of their preferred qualifications. So from there, I'm going to figure out, well, what do I do next? Because I'm not done exploring this job. And what I really want to do here is figure out who the employer is, right? Because remember, it's not just whether or not you want the job on the surface because of how much it pays or where it's located, but are you going to be happy there, right? So the next thing I would do, and this is sort of a bonus thing, is I would go ahead and look at the reviews from former employees. And part of this is going to help me with my resume and my cover letter, and the cover letter will come later on. But I can get an idea of what this job might be like. So I've got a 5 stars out of 5 stars, great place to teach in the upper left corner, flexible hours, so that sounds good. Salary is a little bit low. And then I'll go to this one that's just down on the right, good to build experience. Pros, curriculum is provided for you. Cons, no set hours, no opportunity for full-time. Okay. And then down to the one on the bottom left, good stepping stone job for teachers. Pros, good curriculum, very little time needed for grading and lesson prep. And then cons, low pay, no benefits, no company scheduled summer vacation. Okay, so what I have here as I'm beginning to build my resume for this specific job is that I know, okay, it's definitely part-time. And I'm going to have to be flexible. So if I feel like that's a good match for me, and maybe I want a part-time job, maybe I really want that flexibility, that's something that I'm going to highlight because that's good for me and it's good for the company, right? If I were looking for full-time, then I would not want to put in my resume or in my cover letter, I'm looking for full-time employment with benefits because that is not part of this. So again, these types of reviews are helpful for me to understand, right? And again, we could balance what's a deal breaker for me. So if I'm not looking for part-time, there's no reason for me to apply to this job because even if I got the job, it's not going to be what I want. So the next thing that I would do is do a quick look at the employer's website. And again, we'll talk about this in the video on tailoring resumes to a specific job, but I really want to know who this company is. Not only do I want to work there, but it's going to help me understand what to put into that resume, right? So I could see this company has locations across the United States. They offer everything from private school classes to tutoring for the ACT and SAT. It's fully accredited, which means students get actual credit for these classes, and it's been around for 22 years. Now, to me, that's a pretty good sign. It's a reputable business. It's been around for quite a while. They focus on one-to-one and mastery-based education. Now, we saw the one-to-one previously in the job posting, but this mastery-based education is important. It means they don't move somebody on until they have demonstrated mastery. So imagine you are learning, math. They wouldn't move you into learning division before you had mastered multiplication. And then number 5 here says their mission is to, quote, provide customized one-to-one instruction to help as many students as possible reach their full academic potential and prepare for college and career. So again, this is about advancement. So those are all things that are super helpful for me to know at the outset, because before I can even apply for the job, I need to find and read the job posting. So the key takeaways here, which will set us up for the next video, is to read that job posting, focus on the requirements, look at the preferred qualification, and then do a little bit of research into the company. Now, a thing to remember, and I have it here on the bottom just as a good reminder, a perfect or ideal candidate for that job may not exist. So if you're close, even if you don't have maybe all of the requirements, but you're really interested in the job, you might consider applying. I have gotten jobs in the past where I didn't necessarily have all of the qualifications, but I had enough of them, and I had the enthusiasm, or I could show that there was a transference of one skill to from a different area to a skill in this new area. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's a little bit like finding a romantic partner, and that perfect partner, that ideal partner may not exist, but a lot of the time you can get pretty close. All right, so there we go. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, jokes, memes, or recipes, let me know. Otherwise, I'll talk to you all later.